Have you ever thought that daily bathing, a habit you've always believed to be good for your health, might actually be harmful after the age of 70? The truth is, hot showers and long soaks can dry out the skin, sap your energy, and even increase the risk of falls. We used to believe that the more often we bathed, the cleaner we were. But after a certain age, things are no longer the same. In this video, you'll discover 4 surprising truths about bathing in older adults and one simple tip to stay fresh and healthy without even stepping into the bathroom. If you find it interesting, don't forget to click subscribe and like below to support the author and help spread valuable lessons to many others. Now, let's get started. 1. Daily bathing may harm elderly skin. On a chilly December afternoon in the countryside of Devon, England, young Dr. Emily Lewis visited a very special patient, Mrs. Edith Thompson, 84, who lived alone in a charming old stone cottage on the hillside. Mrs. Edith was the kind of person Emily had heard about during her medical training, strong-willed, independent, and impeccably tidy. But that day's visit left Emily concerned. The district nurse had reported that Mrs. Edith's skin was severely dry, cracked in places, and that she often complained of unbearable itchiness at night. The wooden door creaked open. Mrs. Edith, her silver hair neatly tied back, wearing a worn wool jumper, smiled and invited Emily in. "You've come at just the right time, dear. I've just made some tea," she said, her voice gently trembling with age. As they chatted, Emily noticed that Mrs. Edith's hands were red and peeling. Her ankles had tiny cracks, some even bleeding. "Forgive me if this is a bit personal," Emily said gently, "but how often do you bathe?" Mrs. Edith sighed. "Every morning, since I was a little girl. I can't start my day without it." Emily paused. A feeling of unease crept in. She reached for her tablet and pulled up a recent study from the University of California, San Francisco. "You know, our skin changes a lot as we age. After 70, the epidermis becomes noticeably thinner, and the sebaceous glands almost stop working." "What does that mean?" Mrs. Edith frowned, tilting her head slightly. "It means your skin no longer retains moisture the way it used to. And because your sweat glands are less active too, your skin is becoming drier and more fragile," Emily explained, pointing to the screen. "Every time you bathe, especially with hot water, you strip away the skin's natural oils. That's your protective barrier." Mrs. Edith fell silent. A breeze slipped through the window, ringing the little brass wind chime. Emily continued. Experts from the University of Pittsburgh found that when the skin loses its lipids, it becomes brittle, like paper. Even minor friction, like wearing a jumper or brushing against the stair rail, can cause damage. And once the skin cracks, bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus can enter easily, which can lead to cellulitis or even sepsis. Mrs. Edith's face turned pale. "So, bathing every day is actually bad." Emily nodded slowly. "For younger people, the skin can recover. But for someone your age, each hot shower, each strong soap, each long soak, it all gradually erodes your skin's natural defenses." Mrs. Edith leaned her chin on her hand, eyes distant. "Maybe that explains why I've been so itchy lately, tossing and turning all night. I even found blood on my back the other day and had no idea why." Emily took out her phone and showed her an article from the New England Journal of Medicine. Here, they recommend that elderly people bathe every other day or 2 to 3 times a week. Areas prone to sweat, like underarms and groin, can be wiped clean with a damp cloth. This helps reduce dry skin infection risk and even itching-related insomnia. "But if I don't bathe every day, I'll feel unclean," Mrs. Edith said quietly. Emily smiled and responded gently, "I understand that feeling. But being clean doesn't have to mean soaking your whole body every day. For your skin, now keeping your natural oils is more important than daily washing." There was a pause. Then Mrs. Edith chuckled softly. "All right, then. Starting tomorrow, I'll give it a try, but you'll have to show me how to wipe down properly." They both burst into laughter. 2 weeks later, Emily returned for a follow-up. Mrs. Edith beamed. "The itching's eased. I've started bathing every other day using lukewarm water and switched to a soap-free cleanser. For the first time in years, I slept through the night." Emily's face lit up. "That's brilliant. You see just a small change and your body already thanks you." Mrs. Edith held out her hand, showing skin that was no longer red or cracked. "I suppose I need to relearn how to care for myself in old age, instead of clinging to the habits of my youth." Then she grinned cheekily. "So, are you planning to put this story online? Do people really care about how an old lady changes her bathing routine?" Emily laughed. "If you'll allow it, I'd love to share your story. It might help others who are suffering and don't know why. And if you're still watching this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more heartwarming and helpful health stories like Mrs. Edith's. 2. Falling is more dangerous than dirt. 1. Chilly gray autumn afternoon in a small village in Yorkshire. Mr. George Williams, a 76-year-old retired literature teacher, sat in his armchair by the window, sipping black tea and listening to the rustling of dry leaves outside. Since his wife passed away, George had been living alone in his quaint brick house. Though his mind remained sharp, and he still loved reading, his legs were no longer as steady as they once were. From time to time he chuckled to himself when he lost his balance just because of a pair of indoor slippers. But he firmly believed that washing daily was essential. An English gentleman must never be scruffy, he used to say. Until one day, that seemingly minor belief nearly cost him everything. It was a Tuesday morning, and as usual, George planned to take a bath. Steam fogged up the mirror, and the tiled floor was still damp from a previous clean. As he stepped over the edge of the bathtub, the handrail gave way and his foot slipped on a soapy patch. It all happened in a blink. The loud crash startled his neighbor, Mrs. Edna, who rushed over in a panic. She called for an ambulance, and George was taken to hospital with a hip injury. Thankfully, no bones were broken, but he needed a walking stick afterwards and weeks of physiotherapy. At the hospital, Dr. Thomas, a geriatric specialist, told George something that left him speechless. Falls in the bathroom are the #1 reason elderly people end up in nursing homes permanently. Like many older adults, George had never imagined that bathing could be more dangerous than being a bit unclean. But Dr. Thomas presented some sobering facts. More than a quarter of people over 65 fall each year according to the U.S. CDC. After 70, the risk doubles. Muscle weakness, slower reflexes, and conditions like osteoporosis, arthritis, or peripheral neuropathy all reduce balance. And bathrooms, slippery, humid, and often enclosed, are the most fall-prone places. George was thoughtful. Things he'd once dismissed, like standing on one foot to get into the tub, the dizziness from steam or soap left underfoot now seemed genuinely alarming. Dr. Thomas continued, "A fall at your age isn't just a bruise. It could be a fractured hip, a head injury, or even death. And if you survive, many never walk the same again, and often must move into care homes." From then on, George's habits changed. He stopped bathing every day. Instead, he used warm cloths to clean areas prone to sweat: underarms, groin, neck. Only 2 or 3 times a week would he bathe fully now, with the support of a shower chair, non-slip mats, and securely fixed grab bars. Mrs. Edna even helped install an emergency alarm button in the bathroom. I used to think smelling nice was a sign of dignity, he told his granddaughter Emily during her visit from London. But now, I realize safety matters more than outdated standards. A bit of body odor is nothing compared to a broken hip and being bedridden. Emily hugged him. Moved, I don't want to lose you over a silly fall, Grandpa. From his experience, George began attending senior community meetings in the village. He shared his fall story with humor, but also as a warning. Many other elders began rethinking their bathing routines. Some switched to shower chairs. Others used warm cloth wipes at night instead of morning showers when they were still drowsy. Dr. Thomas once said, "Reducing bathroom visits means reducing exposure to the home's most dangerous spot." A simple but effective preventive measure. 1 year after the fall, George was still healthy, sharp, and independent. On his 77th birthday, he raised his teacup and chuckled, fell once, but won't fall twice. Being clean is good, but living longer is wiser. George's story isn't just a personal lesson, it's a gentle but powerful reminder to anyone entering old age. Sometimes less really is more, and safety is always more valuable than perfect cleanliness. 3. Your body cleans itself. Truly, you don't bathe every day anymore, the curious secret of Edith's skin. In the rural south of England, nestled among green hills and winding oak-lined lanes, lies a tiny village called Chilgrove. It was there that a young nurse named Clara took on a special assignment caring for an 83-year-old woman living alone, Mrs. Edith Langley. On her first visit, Clara arrived well-prepared antibacterial body wash, fresh towel shampoo. She stepped into the old cottage where the scent of dried lavender and damp wood mingled in the air. Edith, slender, elegant, with silver hair neatly pinned up, greeted her with a gentle smile and sharp eyes. After the initial pleasantries, Clara offered to assist Edith with a bath. "Oh no, my dear Edith," said, as she poured a cup of chamomile tea. "I don't bathe every day anymore. In fact, I only bathe about twice a week, sometimes even less." Clara raised her eyebrows, doing her best to remain polite. She had learned that older people sometimes resisted hygiene routines, but she hadn't expected a traditional English lady to say so. And with such confident grace, as if revealing an age-old secret. Noticing Clara's surprise, Edith smiled. "Don't worry, I'm not lazy. I simply trust my body's wisdom, and there's science to back me up. The body's natural cleanup." Without soap and water, intrigued, Clara sat at the tea table. Edith pulled out a printed article from the Journal of Investigative Dermatology. "The skin microbiome," she pointed at the title. "Have you ever heard of it?" Clara nodded vaguely, not entirely sure she understood. "There's a tiny but powerful community living on our skin," Edith explained. "Helpful bacteria, fungi, even microscopic mites. They feed on dead skin cells, break down excess oil, and produce antibacterial compounds that fight off harmful microbes." She spoke of Cutibacterium acnes, which helps digest oil on the skin, and Staphylococcus epidermidis, which competes with pathogenic bacteria. Some of these even release biological weapons to fight Staphylococcus aureus, the enemy of sensitive-skinned folks like me. Clara began recalling her medical training. It was true. Researchers were now praising the role of the skin microbiome. But how did Edith, who didn't even own a smartphone, know all this? After a nasty bout of eczema 2 years ago, Edith said I tried every cream and ointment under the sun. Nothing worked. until a retired dermatologist, an old friend of my late husband, suggested I step back, bathe, less use lukewarm water, and ditch the high pH soaps. The unexpected outcome: something remarkable happened. After a few weeks, her skin calmed down. No more flaking, no more itching. I use a warm cloth to wipe down especially underarms and groin, the smelly areas. As for the rest, I let my body do its job. And you know what? I feel better. Clara, now fully intrigued, began researching after work. She discovered fascinating insights. Hot water dissolves the natural oils that protect the skin. Strong soaps can disrupt the pH balance and kill beneficial bacteria. For elderly skin already thin and oil-deficient, frequent bathing can make things worse. A 2022 study showed people who bathed fewer than 3 times a week but regularly wiped down with a clean cloth had less dry skin and fewer eczema flare-ups than those who bathed daily. Bathing less, not neglect, but wisdom. People often think bathing less is unhygienic, Edith said, but really, it's a smart and compassionate choice for one's body. Clara realized that many older adults cling to daily bathing out of fear of judgment. But if they understood the body's natural balance, they might let go of the guilt of skipping a bath. I think a lot of people need to hear your story, Clara said. Then go ahead and tell it. Edith chuckled. But do sprinkle in some chamomile tea so it goes down gently. Edith's story isn't an invitation to abandon bathing altogether. It's a reminder of the body's wisdom and the limits of modern hygiene routines, for the elderly especially. Those living alone or with fragile skin, bathing less isn't an odd trend. It's a sound strategy for better health. Sometimes self-care isn't about doing more, but doing less, and trusting the natural systems your body has spent millions of years perfecting. 4. Experts say bathing 1 to 2 times a week is enough. Less bathing. A small change with big benefits for people over 70. Get ready to embrace a surprising truth. Many leading medical experts today suggest that older adults only need to bathe once or twice a week. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Especially when we've been taught since childhood that daily bathing equals cleanliness. But this isn't about being sloppy or unhygienic, quite the opposite. It's a conclusion backed by scientific studies showing that too much bathing can actually harm older adults' health. When daily bathing is no longer the best option. After 70, the body changes. The skin becomes thinner, drier, and more fragile. Hot water soap and scrubbing, once harmless, can now cause cracks, itching, and even infections. According to dermatologists from the American Academy of Dermatology (AAD) and geriatric specialists at Johns Hopkins University, reducing the frequency of bathing helps preserve the skin's natural barrier and lowers the risk of irritation. But it's not just about skin. Bathing, from routine to physical challenge. What takes a young person minutes in the shower can become a full-on obstacle course for older adults. Standing under the shower stresses the heart. Warm steam dilates blood vessels, possibly causing low blood pressure and dizziness. Arthritis, back pain, or bad knees make bending, reaching, or even balancing a struggle. One slip in the bathroom could lead to a broken bone and weeks in bed. The Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, has even reported that some elderly people are so exhausted after bathing they need to rest for an hour with no energy left to eat, walk, or chat. Bathing. Less doesn't mean neglecting hygiene. Bathing. Less doesn't mean being unclean. A quick daily wipe down of key areas. The face, neck, underarms, private parts, and hands, feet is enough to maintain personal hygiene. Using wet wipes, deodorant, or simply changing into clean clothes can keep you feeling fresh and pleasant. For those who are mostly at home and sedentary, daily bathing might not just be unnecessary, it can be harmful. Of course, if someone is active, works in the garden, or sweats often, the routine should adjust accordingly. A new way to bathe. Gentle, effective, safe. Many families now use seated baths, handheld showers, or split bathing sessions to save energy and reduce risk. Lowering bathing frequency to just 1 to 2 times per week can reduce fatigue, improve mental well-being, prevent skin issues, conserve energy for what matters most, playing with grandchildren, watering the garden, enjoying a cup of tea. Mindset shift. Bathing. Less is a smart, caring choice. We've been programmed by decades of soap advertisements to think daily bathing shows good health. But modern science tells a different story, especially for the elderly. Being clean doesn't mean dousing your body with water every day. Just like we eat lighter, as digestion slows with age, bathing less is a wise adjustment, one that respects energy dignity and the health of older bodies. Remember this, for seniors, less is often more when you understand your body and follow expert advice. If you're caring for aging parents or entering your golden years yourself, don't be afraid to shift your habits. Proper care isn't about doing more, but about doing just enough with wisdom and gentleness. Smart alternatives to daily showers include wet wipes, easy to use, gentle on the skin, and effective for cleaning sensitive areas like underarms, groin, and face, no rinse required. Hand washing, a simple, powerful way to stop germs from spreading, especially as hands touch everything. Oral hygiene, essential for fresh breath and preventing harmful bacteria. Clean clothes. Fresh garments daily made of breathable fabric help absorb moisture and prevent odor. Brushing hair, body sprays, deodorant. Maintain a neat appearance without needing a full bath. For seniors, especially those with shaky hands, bad knees, or who live in cold regions, options like warm cloth wipe downs, dry shampoo, or simply changing into clean clothes are often safer and more practical. According to the Journal of Gerontological Nursing, older adults who use these alternatives report feeling clean, confident, and experience fewer skin issues and less fatigue than those who bathe daily. Crucially, these approaches allow elders to maintain dignity and autonomy, especially when supported by a caregiver. Hygiene becomes a personal choice, not a tiring obligation. In summary, what was once considered the gold standard, daily bathing, may silently harm people over 70. Skin becomes dry, itchy, and cracked due to lost natural oils. High risk of bathroom falls. Energy drained affecting daily activities. Meanwhile, the body has natural cleansing processes like beneficial bacteria and skin regeneration. Bathing just 1 to 2 times a week, depending on personal needs, can bring healthier skin, lower risk of injury, better overall quality of life. Respected institutions like the American Geriatric Society, New England Journal of Medicine, and JAMA all provide data showing that overbathing does more harm than good, while bathing less offers protection. Just imagine the benefits. Soft, comfortable skin, mornings without exhaustion, energy reserved for the joys of living. The key is personalization. A 75-year-old jogger will have a very different hygiene routine from someone who is bedbound. Climate, culture, and health condition all matter. So, talk to your doctor to find the bathing rhythm that works best for you. Who would have thought that bathing less could be a big step toward a better life? This is a quiet revolution in self-care, turning upside down the norms we've followed for decades. For older adults, it's a chance to shed outdated burdens and live more gently, safely, and fully. Less water, fewer risks, more living. That's the surprising truth of bathing less, and one worth embracing. What do you think after watching this video? What opened your eyes about hygiene in older age? What did you learn? Is there something you'd like to try starting today? If you find this video interesting and useful, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future content. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed this video, help us spread these valuable insights by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, comment 1. If not, comment 0, so I can improve and create better videos for you.